Guys. Guys.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be discussing the Delphi murders again today. So if you're unfamiliar with the case, I've left some links down below that cover the case in its entirety. I highly suggest you go check them out. But with that being said, today I want to talk about this.
What do you see in the video?
I see a guy with a rounder face. He looks clean shaven. I can't tell if he has facial hair, like a goatee type facial hair, or if that's pixelation.
Mm-hmm.
You know how when you get super zoomed in on something, it has a tendency to go really, really dark or really, really light,
Yep.
depending on like the shade of something. So yeah, I don't know if that's what's happening there or not, but the rest of his face looks younger, and his legs look thin. I think that he is bowed out in his coat area because he's got a ton of crap on him shoved under his coat. And
Yeah.
it's such a bad representation of who that really is. I think the irony is that if you have a few more frames of that, you'd probably have a much better idea of what they actually look like. Even if just another frame, it's just they're so far away that they're right at that perfect spot where you can't really tell anything about who it really is.
Exactly, it is, and that's the problem. I think is so many people think that that guy looks like so many different people, but I think they're basing it on either the body size due to the coat, or they're looking at the sketches saying, well, this guy's got a goatee, he's got a head shaped like that, or his hair is like that, or his eyes are like that.
The amount of people who look at the video of the man walking on the bridge and see an older man has been something that's bothered me for a long time now. Every time I look at the video, I see what looks like a younger guy and with things shoved under his jacket. Why are there so many people seeing something so different than me? I'm not the only person who sees a younger guy in the video. It's actually kind of bizarre to me how divided everyone is when they watch it. But over time I started to notice a pattern, and the more I thought about it, the more it began to start to make sense to me. I'm going to show you guys some things that I think might explain what's happening. In fact, I think it might actually explain a lot about what's happening on YouTube involving this case in particular. It's a bit of a rabbit hole, so I'm going to start out by letting you guys listen to this first. I know it's just inaudible static, but you can kind of make out that there's something there. Here, I'm going to play it again for you. Okay, now that you've heard it twice, I want you to listen to this.
The juice of lemons makes fine punch. The juice of lemons makes fine punch.
The reason that you can't hear words in the beginning is because at first your brain doesn't really know what to do with the information it's getting from the static. But once someone suggested to you what to think, your brain will naturally make a pathway to understanding what it's hearing. The same thing happens when you look at a cloud. Then someone kind of points out the shape of a dog. At first, you don't see anything, but after they suggest the dog, all of a sudden now you do. Merely suggesting something can affect our minds on a subconscious level. You can even change the way someone's brain perceives information after they've already made up their mind about it. Here's a really good example of that. The clip of Bridge Guy walking is grainy, it's difficult to make out details, it's borderline static to our minds. There's such a small amount of information and detail in the video that it's easy for our mind to fill in the gaps, and it doesn't take much to influence what we're actually seeing. The people who have followed this case from some time, they were around when the first sketch was released. That first sketch suggested it was an older person on the bridge that day, which is why I believe that most of the people who tend to see an older person walking on the bridge, they all tend to be people who were around when the case first came out and the original sketch was released. The majority of us who tend to see someone younger, those were the people who came in after the April press conference. So there's definitely exceptions to this. This isn't always the case, but overall, I do think this explains a lot.
The juice of lemons makes fine punch.
Now this is where it starts to get even more interesting. The Delphi case is one of the most covered cases here on YouTube, and YouTube creators have a loyal following that tend to borderline despise other creators that have different opinions on the case. Why is this happening? How can two groups of people see the exact same evidence, hear the exact same things, and not just disagree, but end up being vicious to each other about it? Well, consider this clip.
But an experiment is not a public opinion poll. It examines behavior under the pressure of social forces, as the experiment of Solomon Asch reveals.
The experiment you'll be taking part in today involves the perception of lengths of lines. As you can see here, I have a number of cards, and on each card there are several lines. Your task is a very simple one. You're to look at the line on the left and determine which of the three lines on the right is equal to it in length. All right, we'll proceed in this order. You'll give your answer.
Only one of the people in the group is a real subject, the fifth person with the white t-shirt. The others are confederates of the experimenter and have been told to give wrong answers on some of the trials. The experiment begins uneventfully as subjects give their judgments.
2, 2, 2, 2,
2, 3,
3, 3, 3.
But on the third trial, something happens.
2, 2,
2,
2, 2.
The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence.
People don't want to stand out or go against the group. Large YouTube creators that have large active sub counts put out a suggestion, and disagreeing with it might mean public shaming. It could mean someone calling you out on a live stream or making fun of you in front of your peers, and deep down, none of us want that. We'll do anything to avoid it. So when it comes to our turn, we tend to follow the group, even though we know what we're saying might be wrong.
2, 2.
People tend to think and behave differently in groups. When the group shames someone, we all have a tendency to jump on the bandwagon. Science has known about this for a long time. They call it herd mentality. It describes a tendency to follow, even when following leads to results that you normally would not have done on your own.
2, 2.
We can't allow suggestion and social conformity to stifle thoughts and discussions anymore. If someone is shaming you for listening to another person's ideas, or they're encouraging others to do the same thing, then you should truly question their intentions. We can't allow a group to dictate our thoughts. Otherwise, we're all going to end up with one idea, even if it's the wrong idea.
Take a look at this crowded waiting room. These people may appear to be waiting for the eye doctor, but they're actually waiting for the first test subject in our hidden camera experiment. And here she is, right on time for her 12 o'clock appointment.
Hi, how are you doing?
This woman thinks she's here for a free eye exam.
Have you been here before? No, it's my first time.
What she doesn't know is that everyone else in this room is working for us.
They'll be with you in just a couple minutes.
Today we're running an experiment on social conformity, and the test starts now. Did you hear that? These people sure did. It doesn't take long for our test subject to notice a pattern. Beep means stand up. But why? And if you were in her shoes, what would you do the next time the tone sounds? We set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group.
So, back to the clip of the man on the bridge. I think we should try to approach this with a clean slate. Try to forget all the things people have said, the sketches, the videos, and take a fresh look at this person. What do you see? What's the very first thing that comes to your mind when you see this video? What stands out to you? Your opinion, your perception matters. Law enforcement needs the public help to identify this person. Please feel free to let me know what your thoughts are below. And as always, thank you for watching.
Guys. Guys.